News of the Epstein files is not brand new. Only a few weeks ago, I've not even understood what they've been about. I just figured some corruption, even sexual corruption or child trafficking or political stuff. But I never looked into it. I am one who was not aware of what was going on with the Epstein files, though I've heard it multiple times from multiple sources, but I never bothered to listen or understand. And the reason I'm doing this program today, which I didn't want to do, is that the statement that years ago a man by the name of Edmund Burke made, that the only thing necessary for evil to persist is for good men to do nothing. We look at something so unfathomably evil, and we say, what can we do? How can we help? What can we do? And so you ignore it and you go on with your life. The only thing we can do, most of us, is to make this known. We have to make it known for the preservation of children, of families, of our very society. The depth and the breadth of this thing has gone worldwide, and we are under evil that we don't even know about. We're under evil that we don't know about. I'm going to read this article to you straight from Crisis Magazine Online, February 17th of this year. Sheryl Collmer, the heading is The Epstein Cataclysm. The Epstein files are breaking on the world like an asteroid slamming into Earth. What I'm going to read to you is not the depth of that degradation. Sheryl Collmer speaks about it, and she gives links to support what she's saying, to show what's happening. Someone says, once you see something, you can't unsee it. I was physically ill on the spot, and I'm not able to get it out of my mind. And I didn't click on the rest of the links. The Epstein files, a short name referring to a huge phenomenon, and it's so much bigger than one player. The disclosures mandated by the Epstein Files Transparency Act expose a fraction of the global network of evil, Satanism, child abduction, and sacrifice, and even more monstrous acts committed by very powerful people at the hands of nations and industries. It's everywhere. It's practically in the air we breathe. There are still people who have no idea. I was one of them. I had a vague notion and I never bothered with it, but I had no idea. The Epstein files have put the worldwide satanic child-sacrificing cult of death in public view, though it is yet to be seen what the public will do with it. The normalcy bias is so strong in us, that tendency to underestimate the possibility of disaster and believe that life will continue normally, even in the face of significant evidence to the contrary. We think that because it disturbs our peace, or because it's never been known before, it cannot possibly be true. Normalcy bias is what smirked in 2020 and said, yeah, right, the whole world will be shut down by a fear of a virus. We should have learned our lesson by now, to pause before we scoff. Sheryl Collmer writes, the satanic pedophile cult has been hiding in plain sight for a long time, throwing off signals to an oblivious public. We knew about Epstein's sinister temple, and we heard rumors about underground tunnels and strange gathering in California groves. Marina Abramovic and her spirit-cooking performances, super lobbyist Tony Podesta's disturbing collection of art featuring underdressed children in violent situations, and fashion house Balenciaga advertising sexual bondage apparatuses on children, for which they later apologized after one of the few public outcries over such horrors. But note that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of something or other, and mother of two, made a special trip to Balenciaga during last year's Paris Fashion Week, as though the brand was hunky-dory and squeaky clean. As former members have testified, Satanists tell the world what they're doing, usually with symbols, so that when the evil is manifested, the victim is complicit in the crime. Not only is the Satanist free of karma, but more importantly, the victim is degraded and their minds are twisted. A Satanist is saying, quote, "We showed you that Balenciaga was pedophilic, yet you bought their clothes anyway and gave them your money," end quote. You can almost hear Screwtape, chuckling. All the conspiracy theories that had to do with satanic ritual, child sacrifice and abuse, and cannibalism were laughed off without a second thought, now have to be re-examined in the light of the Epstein revelations. Cannibalism, beloved. With every day that goes by, more innocents are lost, abducted, or even bred to be used in evil ways, some losing their lives outright, some after torture, slavery, or organ harvesting. I don't want to look at it either, Sheryl says, but my personal virtues are not so great that they will outweigh the sin of looking away. Are yours? Beloved, I'm telling you, I read Sheryl's, what I'm reading to you now, and I said, oh, how awful, how horrible, and I went back to building a religious community. And then I looked at her links that she left, and I said that we cannot ignore this. We have to make it known. I was a jail chaplain in my Protestant years for 10 and a half years. Very few things I haven't seen and been aware of. This is beyond any kind of degradation that I've ever come across. Can you imagine, dear ones, all of a sudden, your child doesn't come home from school or from the playground or from ballet class or something else? Where is she? I don't know. Why wasn't she on the bus? I don't know. And you lose that child forever. And you find out that they were probably a victim of this satanic Epstein worldwide cult. And you say, and your neighbor says, you know, I heard about it, but I'm not getting involved. And you say to your neighbor, you got to be out of your mind. My child was abducted. I don't know if he or she is alive. I don't know what's happened to them. I don't know if they've been cannibalized. How could you not do anything? And your neighbor says, what can I do? Spread it. Make it known. Let parents know that they have to keep their children, not leave them in the car while they go into a store quickly, not leave them in the shopping mall and say, stay right here and watch your brother. I'll be right out. We can't do that anymore. These people are absolutely subtle. People have broken into homes and kidnapped children. They've taken children on the pretext of all kinds of good Girl Scout clubs and Boy Scout clubs and whatever they call them. Don't be fooled. Satan, who the scripture calls the prince of the power of the air, is running this world. Has God permitted it? Yes. Why does God permit such evil? I have no answer except that if he didn't, he'd wipe us all off the face of the earth in an instant. Scriptures say he's slow about his promises, willing that none perish. Sheryl writes, we have cried and cried, Lord, help us. Now he answers. He's giving us the right people, the right information, the right tools to defeat this evil. Woe to us if we turn back to our sports and Netflix and TikTok and comfortable lifestyles. Bravo, Sheryl. God bless you. This is our admirable Farragut moment when we cry, damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead. There will be a cost. This phenomenon is so widespread, so entrenched, that whole industries, perhaps even whole sectors of the economy, could be shifted. At the very least, we will pay in mental peace for a time. On days, Sheryl says, that I have dipped a toe into the Epstein material, I wake at night, feeling adrift with sharks circling. The only thing that helps is refuge in our pure, immaculate mother, the antithesis of all things Epstein. If you have read any of the material and did not have that strong a reaction, you did not read far enough. So what can we do? We can pray, but we must make it known, because children are being stolen from their homes, from their schools, from the streets, from shopping malls, and parents are losing their children. And they're losing them to child trafficking, to child sex abuse, to cannibalism. It's too awful to speak about. I'm going to continue with Sheryl's article. Now that Satan marches unmasked in public, now that a critical mass of people is separated from any knowledge of God, our intellectual and spiritual armor, the cataclysm of war, cannot be far away. I don't mean military war, Sheryl says, but the defining battle of good against evil. Those who don't know any victims can excuse themselves. Any families who have not had children stolen, who haven't been forcibly damaged by the God complex billionaires with needles, whose contributions to the basket in church have not gone to victimize others, even that far, beloved, whose taxes have not been stolen for the hideous pleasure of the elite, that is to say, none of us are excused. You hear what she says? Those who don't know any victims can excuse themselves, and then she defines those. And it includes every one of us. We're all victims. Any families who have not had children stolen, who have not been forcibly damaged by the God complex billionaires with needles, whose contributions to the basket in church have not gone to victimize others. You hear that? Whose taxes have not been stolen for the hideous pleasures of the elite. None of us are immune from all of this. And she says that is to say, none of us are excused. She's covered it all. We have to put on the armor of God, prayer, courage, trust, and righteous anger. The kind of anger that gets busy, like the Holy League at Lepanto. The kind of anger that says, I'm all in. The first step, she says, and on this everything else depends, is to turn off the mainstream media like you would run from a cloud of poison gas. I'm not exaggerating, she writes. You may think they're only lying about Trump or ICE or partisan matters. You may think it's safe to listen to them on other topics. No, it's a worldview they're dispersing, a mental blueprint meant to direct our thinking in ways we will not even notice. You only start to see it once you have disengaged. If you are unwilling to even try living without their script, then you are lost. Turn them off. The second step, Sheryl writes, is to seek better input. We have to get news from someone. If you are new to alternative media, I'd start with some known quantities like Dr. Janet E. Smith, and she's got links to all of these, General Michael Flynn, Bishop Joseph Strickland, or others you already trust. Find them on X, Substack, or Facebook. Then you might try Jeff Childers, Elizabeth Nixon, and Victor Davis Hanson. The error of ERA, the error of trusting corporate news is over entirely. Information is the currency of this age. Don't get stuck with the counterfeit. Step 3 is to turn our faces like flint toward the danger, not away from it. Like the New York firefighters who ran to the towers, our mission is to the front. If we turn aside from this God-given moment of truth, the demons will return sevenfold. If we choose silence or willful ignorance, we may even become culpable. Like the innocence of the world will pay, the innocence of the world will pay for our evasions, and we will see them again in our judgment, their sad faces, their broken bodies, their mangled hearts. Beloved, I've never heard anything like this so strong from Sheryl or any other Catholic. I beg you to take it seriously. Sheryl says, I don't want to hear the saints lamenting over me, quote, why didn't you do something? She says, I want them to cheer. I want the next generation to be proud of us and thank us the way we once thanked the greatest generation who rushed up the shores of Normandy. And I say with Sheryl, beloved, if you listen to this or you read it and you say, I just have to hide and protect my family, you will be guilty for some of the evil that's going on. You say, come on, I'm a little homemaker. What can I do? You make it known. You make it known. Send out an anonymous email. pass it on, do whatever you can, and make it known. If we ignore this, then we are helping the evil. I don't know how else to describe it. If we ignore that children are being murdered through abortion, then we're part of the problem. We can't ignore such evil. But the Epstein files, I've come to learn, thanks to Sheryl, are of a greater depth of degradation and evil, pure satanic evil, than anything I've come across before. And I'm physically ill from it. I can't get it out of my mind, not that I should. And we say, what can we do? What can we do? My goodness. And what we can do, the least we can do, and what we must do is make this known.